Hello, I'm Dr. Julian Northbrook from doingenglish.com. Question I got today: how can I stop fumbling with my words when I speak English? Good question. First and foremost, you need to understand what fluency really is. Most people mistakenly think fluency is a single thing that you have or you don't have, but actually that's not right. Fluency is actually a combination of 5 multiple processes that all happen together, and when all 5 of them are properly developed, then we get what appears to be fluency. Now, in terms of this question, stopping fumbling with your words as you're speaking, the first 3 are most important. And which is the most important for you really depends on you and your exact situation, which is obviously not something that I can tell based just on the question. The first element is encoding. And what this means is, do you have the right kind of English encoded that is stored in long-term memory? Now, what this means practically speaking is, if you have learned English as individual words and grammar rules, then you're probably not doing this properly, because that is a conscious process and it's not how native speakers actually speak. Not for the most part anyway. What native speakers are actually doing is storing larger chunks of English in long-term memory, that is encoding them, and these chunks are how they speak without hesitation, so automatically, so habitually, and also why they sound so natural as well. So if you are learning and speaking with individual words and grammar rules, you need to stop doing that and you need to start learning and speaking in chunks instead, and that will help significantly with your problem. But the second element of fluency is also very important, and perhaps the most important regarding this question. The second element of fluency is what we call organizational fluency, and that is, are these chunks of English that you've got stored in long-term memory properly organized into a network of information surrounding the topics that you actually speak about? Now, with my clients, I use several different exercises to speed up this development process and to force organizational fluency, but what it basically comes down to is sheer repetition. Good example of this: when I started my YouTube channel, I'm going back like 14 years now or something like that, I started making videos about learning English. I knew what I was talking about, I had the knowledge, but I'd never really talked about it in that kind of way before. The result was that even though I'm a native speaker of English, I ummed and ahed a lot, I got confused, the flow wasn't very logical, I tripped over my words, I kind of made mistakes, and really ended up with videos that weren't very good. 13, 14 years later, I've been talking about this stuff, coaching this stuff every single day. I've talked about this stuff to the extent now where you could ask me any question about learning and improving English as a second language, and I can just talk about it without thinking, without hesitation, and it will just come out as a well-organized, logical flow of speech. And again, it's just sheer repetition. And that's what you need to do as far as organizational fluency is concerned. Now, one more element that is super important for some people, not so much for other people, is what we call the physical aspect of fluency, or motor skills, or to put it another way, muscle memory. And what this really means is, have you developed that muscle memory so that your mouth and your tongue all just move automatically in the right kind of way to produce the language that you are producing? Now, to go back to the first element, encoding, most people actually aren't doing this properly. Because they've learned English as individual words and they're trying to combine that with grammar rules, they're actually not articulating English in the way that native speakers do, which is chunked, not word by word. So developing that muscle memory so that when you start speaking, your muscles just know how to move is extremely important. And you can think of it as like learning to ride a bike. When you first start learning to ride a bike, you're wobbling all over the place, you can't balance, you fall off, you scrape your knees. But once your muscles learn how to balance and learn how to control the bike, you just do it. to the extent where, you can't unlearn that if you want to. Well, speaking English is exactly the same, and you need to develop that muscle memory, and that will help a lot with not tripping over your words, getting confused, and fumbling, as you put it in the question. Now, if this is a problem for you, fantastic exercise to use to develop this is the shadowing exercise. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about how to do that here because this would just get ridiculously long. However, if this is a problem for you, I recommend you head over to doingenglish.com/shadowing and sign up for my daily emails, and alongside that, I'm going to send you something called the Good Shadowing Guide. This is a PDF guide that I put together that's going to show you step by step how to make the shadowing exercise work for you personally. All right, I hope that helps, and bye-bye from me.